7 out of 10 Americans say our democracy is under dire threat. The number one reason, 86% of those across the partisan spectrum, no difference, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, 86% say the reason is money in politics.
Feel like we've been saying that for a little while. What you just saw there was a clip from the Patriotic Millionaires Summit. You might be familiar with this group, but for some time they have come together to try to advocate as people with great economic privilege for tax policy and other policies that don't so singularly advantage the wealthiest people in America. They call themselves Wealthy Americans Leading the Charge to Raise Taxes on the Rich, Fight for a Livable Wage, and Combat Political and Income Inequality. And the speaker that you just saw there was saying that effectively the money in politics gives them incredibly outsized influence over politics. We say outsized, the only real position on politics that matters outside of campaigns. You know, Biden might run as a progressive or whatever because he knows he wants young voters to vote for him. But what they do once they're actually in office has effectively, well, according to Princeton University, it has near zero impact on US law. But there are obviously things affecting the law, and I think that speaker has pointed out what it actually is. It's the actual money in politics and the interests of the wealthy. And they have long advocated for their interests and they've gotten it. As of right now, the wealthiest Americans pay on average just 3.4% of their income in taxes. The people who can afford it most pay it least. And even when it's not just raw tax policy, you might be shocked at how much things have been set up for them. Even in the area of deductions for charity, here's a little bit more from the summit.
When we talk about philanthropy, we really should think about it as a tax issue. For every dollar a billionaire gives to charity, we as taxpayers chip in 74 cents in lost tax revenue. Now, how is this possible? How is this possible? Because billionaires not only are reducing their income tax, they're also reducing their estate taxes, their gift tax, their capital gains tax. So it's a huge subsidy. And the problem is the wealth doesn't just go directly to the charities, but actually huge amounts of it are being diverted into, we call them intermediaries, private foundations, donor advised funds that are essentially controlled by those donors. And those funds can sit parked for generations in these intermediaries. So the donors get an immediate tax reduction the year they give the money, but it can sit for a long time.
Exactly. Like I'm sure there's a millionaire that's given some money to charity just out of the goodness of their heart, but often it's for the tax incentives for individuals as well as corporations. By the way, we've previously talked about on the show why it's become so common that when you like check out at a CVS, it's asking for you to chip in money to a charity. Like it makes you feel good, I guess, that you've done the charity, but they use that for tax write-offs. Basically, if you want to give the charity, do it independently. Don't do it at the counter because that's like it already is cutting the value of the philanthropy. And so there's a lot of issues that are being raised here. I think we can all agree that tax policy has largely been determined by the interests of the wealthy in the past. I'm glad to see them raising the profile of that issue. Mondale, what do you think about all this?
Listen, and this is not something I didn't know, but just hearing that again, Bill Gates started the Gates Foundation. And then he could take all of his money and put it in the Bill Gates Foundation that him and his wife were running, and it could just sit there forever. So I am disgusted with the idea that they give 36 cents, really. They're not giving $1, they're giving 36 cents, and we're giving the bulk of that. Poor people are paying for the rich people to get tax breaks. That is absolutely disgusting to me, especially when we see during a time like COVID, during a pandemic, where poverty grew and also their wealth grew. These richest people in America got richer during COVID, while poor people got poorer. And just knowing that they financed that tax breaks on our backs is absolutely disgusting to me, John. So bad.
Yeah. 100%. As you point out, that they get the tax breaks, but that also that they get to look cool. They get to look like they're the charitable ones. So it's an issue like during your life. And I'll just briefly mention something that I've talked about before. There's like the pledges to give away their wealth when they die. And like lots of people are like, oh, that's so nice. It's so charitable. You're not gonna give it to your kids. I guess you're dead though. You got to use it for as long as you could. And now you're giving away. Look, I guess that's better than not giving it away, but just barely. It doesn't have anything to do with you anymore. You're dead. You can't use it. Give it away now, okay? And maybe that's too much to ask. Maybe you need a little buffer where you get to enjoy your ability to buy islands at the drop of a hat or something. But every minute between now and when you die, the longer you wait, the less I give a damn about your charity, because it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't affect you. It's giving if you've given. Once you're dead, you can't give anymore.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.